Happy New Year!
Yep, you're on your own on that one.
What's great about our podcast is that it releases at midnight every Monday. So technically, this is releasing like the minute.
We should
the
literally
first
send
minute
a
of
thing
2018.
saying, "Hey, if you just counted the ball down, singular.
Yeah.
If you're counting balls that are dropping,
Then update your podcast app.
yeah,
And
switch from whatever one you're using to Stitcher. That's
Yeah.
why balls dropping.
oh, okay.
That was a really bad joke.
What's funny is I like had a much deeper voice freshman year of high school than a lot of other people, a lot of my friends.
Yeah,
So like I was like one of the only freshmen who was in the bass section of our course,
yeah.
and it was that was the whole story. But I thought it was funny.
And an interesting addition to that story is when I was a freshman in high school, I had a really thick British accent, and it went away. So
What the fuck? You were like Tom on Parks and Rec.
right.
Didn't you used to have a British accent? No. What are you talking about?
That wasn't me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's 2018.
So if you're listening to this at 12:04,
Yeah.
I hope you're pleasantly inebriated.
which you've
And or if you're not and you're alone and you're crying sad tears and masturbating using your tears as lubrication, hopefully the podcast can make you giggle.
yeah.
I like it when I go down a road and you didn't expect me to go there.
I just
It's like
don't,
you're the passenger seat of a vehicle and it's really dark at night and you're like, the sign says dead end, bro. Dude, the sign says dead end. Where the fuck are you going? Dude, where are you going? And then we get down to the end and like some like monster comes out from behind a thing and it's like masturbation joke. Bleh.
Okay. That was the weirdest analogy.
But
I
in my
guess
head,
it works though.
I
No,
pictured
I
it.
could see it. I could see it.
Yeah, it's like a large like
It's
pale.
like the train of thought pulls into a station that's like quarantined.
Yes.
like
Yes.
during a zombie movie.
It's like telling you don't go there if you enter at your own risk.
Did you see Train to Busan? Busan?
No,
That's good.
I heard it
See
was. That's a fucking
all.
random
That's all.
segue.
Speaking of train
Speaking of
pulling
trains.
into a quarantine train station with a bunch of zombies. What the fuck? What am I talking about? No. If you've solved the logic puzzle, you'll realize that how could we release an episode at midnight if we've already recorded it? And that's true. We're recording in 2017, and you're listening in 2018.
Yeah, you're
it's like
listening in the
we're
future.
like reaching across the year.
Are things better yet?
I doubt it. I mean, judging like everyone said 2016 was the worst year ever with like it started with David Bowie and Alan Rickman in January and then like Prince and
Yeah.
a bunch of other people and a bunch of terrible things like Trump getting elected, blah, blah, blah. But 2017 wasn't great either. I mean, speaking of losing celebrities, like I've said before, I made a Facebook status or something that was like, yeah, a lot of celebrities might have died in 2016, but a lot of celebrities' careers died in 2017.
Yeah, did you get some like social justice warriors like commenting on your thing as well?
Probably.
No, this was the year women said no. Like, no, women have been saying no for a long time. It's
Yeah,
just these
it's-
guys weren't getting in trouble for it.
Yeah, it's the
So-
year the guys got in trouble for.
Yeah.
It. That's what's important.
Yeah, that's the important part. It's
Yeah.
like realistically, the fact that it's taken this long for things to come out the way they have is actually the disappointing part. Like, I know people love to like, it's a really weird thing. Instead of being happy that they're like the social climate is changing, I feel like people are more enjoying watching people burn. And the while I fully agree that if you've done something fucked up that you should go down, the other thing that I've noticed is we're at a place now where the mob mentality is so severe that if there's even a whiff of an accusation, people just go,
People get
they're fucked.
They're caught in the crossfire.
And so you could literally have no proof against them, but the court of public opinion right now is stronger than it's ever been. And it's a scary thing. Like right now, I mean, obviously you haven't done anything wrong. You really don't have to worry, hopefully. But somebody could just say, "Hey, Gary, you touched my butt," and then right now you have a harder time proving your innocence than somebody proving your guilt. That's fucking intense. Like that's a weird time.
There's a lot of changes, like supposedly. I mean, that happens every year. Where it's like there's a lot of changes this year, but
Well, yeah, I mean,
I
people
do feel like it though. Like there's like the whole like the Charlottesville shit with the Nazis, and then like Trump not denouncing them and all of that, mayhem. And then there's the sexual assault accusation thing, and then there's like it just seems like there's been a lot of shifts. Year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we should probably play the music and then we could dig into it a little bit deeper. But
let's do that.
I mean, realistically, there have been. I mean, just based off what you said on this day thing, the Facebook thing.
Yeah.
The one popped up earlier in the year from a few years ago where Robin Williams died, and that one to me was like, that was actually rough.
Like, what, 3 years now?
So I mean, I think we just live in a society now where it's more prevalent to post things, and we're seeing more and more of it immediately.
True.
And then everybody's opinions on it, whereas before somebody would die and then you like hear from a friend of a friend or get reported on like the regular news. And now it's like you get a Twitter like blow up thing saying this person died, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like literally you could be taking a shit and then a tweet comes in that fucking like David Bowie died.
Right.
And you're like, God damn it.
You wake up in the morning, you check your notifications, your favorite celebrity either died or sexually assaulted someone. And too bad.
You're like playing Candy Crush.
Or they're a Nazi.
You're like, ooh, Candy Crush, my hero died. That's unfortunate.
Welcome to episode 40 of the Unreasonably Angry Podcast. My name is Gary.
My name is Eric.
And how are you fuckers doing in the new year? And also, it's episode 40, which is like, I mean, people celebrate their 40th anniversaries, right? Yeah. So that's a thing.
Sporty 40s.
We should come out with like a beer. I don't know.
No. This is that time. The 40s is when you're in denial that you're fully in your middle ages. Your kids are becoming, 10 years old to teenagers. You're grasping at the last straws of your youth.
You're buying sports cars.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Getting drunk on now Thursdays nights, not just Friday.
No, now I think at 40 you're still like well aware of like not wanting to do that. It's a little bit further down the road you start going, you know what? I don't need an excuse to drink. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
When you say that, it's like you're crossed over from being an adult into an older person.
Well,
I don't need a reason to drink. I could drink if I want to drink. I enjoy my red wine. And you're like, oh God.
Yeah, I have no authority to speak on 40-year-olds. I'm still basically half of a 40-year-old.
I'm basically looking down the tunnel and I can see 40. Like I'm not there yet, but I can see it and I'm fully aware of what it entails.
And you've listened to enough Louis C.K. specials where it's like, now I'm 45, now I'm 46. Yeah.
The thing is, I can relate to so much of it now. I'm going to be 35 this year, and I'm like, fuck, man. Like, if I'm already relating to it now, I basically figure if I can make fun of it as much as I can now, I'll hopefully prevent the things that should be happening at 40 to 42 or 44 or 45. Mm-hmm. So I can roll into my 50s being like, see, I didn't do any of that shit. And people won't be paying attention anymore because we're old as fuck.
Yeah.
But our point was, to go back to our point, this isn't a different year as far as women saying no. Like, that's my point. Women have been saying no for a really long time, but it's a watershed. Is that what they say? A watershed moment. I love when they like use big words for no reason. A watershed moment. For the first time, everyone is listening. People are paying attention. People are listening to the stories, and people are doing something about it.
Yeah.
So in that way, you could say 2017 was a huge thing for that. Like you said, 2017 will be. I don't know. It's weird. Are you going to remember 2017 as the first year of Trump's presidency? Or are you going to remember it are you going to remember the year that all the shit broke and like Harvey Weinstein went down? Because for me, the Harvey Weinstein stuff will stand out more. I've lived through shitty presidents before. Now he's on a different level, but I mean,
I think the election is what's gonna, like they're gonna read about in history books. I think 2016.
That was 2016, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. 2016 will be a bigger thing than 2017 in terms of Trump. And 2017 was like, it seems like a lot of like everyone's trying to stop the like Republicans and Trump from doing stuff. Like stop Trump from like angering North Korea, stop Trump from passing the tax bill, from repealing Obamacare, from all this shit. And it's like I'm tired of that. I'm tired of like turning on the news and seeing like let's like the Republicans are about to do this. Let's stop them. Like it's like there's like some like villains tying up like, you know, girls on train tracks or something. We're like trying to run to the girl like, no, there goes Obamacare. No, it's like, so I feel like in 2018, I want to see more of like, if you want to see change, it's stupid, but yeah, if you want it to be the change you want to see in the world, all that bullshit.
Just thinking the same thing. Yep.
But you know, when a new year rolls around, that's usually the train of thought, and then like
January 3rd, like, fuck this shit.
Darn it, I'm done.
2017 bled into this year.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, 2017. I don't know. I feel like you always have a better idea of a year when it's like, you know, halfway gone.
I'll be honest with you. So I've heard so many people just talk about how shit a year 2017 was.
Well, 2016 was pretty bad.
I don't,
as we mentioned, like,
just because of the people dying, because of dying?
People. Well, if you measure the year in celebrity deaths, yes, but also Trump getting elected, but also just the whole election. Like we had to go through the election for 11 months before he was elected, and the election was fucking shitty. We had to deal with Clinton. We had to deal with Bernie being fucked by Clinton. We had to deal with the DNC. We had to deal with. That's a visual
I didn't need in my head.
Whoops. We had to deal with. Yeah,
because you know she has the strap on. Like so, that exists.
So in other words, 11. What the fuck? In other words, 11, and it's like gold plated or something.
Yeah, Trump, check this out.
11, that's true. It wouldn't be gold for her. It would be like, I don't know.
Blue.
So 11 of the 12 months of 2016, we had to deal with the election.
Okay, so
sure, 12 out of the 12 months of 2017, we've dealt with Trump as a president, but I think the election was worse.
So what I was gonna say is, so 2016, yes, there was. I mean, my brother passed in 2016, so that was shit. Like that sucks. Obviously, that was no.
Was it 2015?
Yes, 2016.
Oh,
2016. Okay. So it was my brother passed in 2016. So really, any of the other shit that happened after that paled in comparison for me. Like there wasn't anything. David Bowie dying was sad, shitty, but I wouldn't consider myself like the biggest David Bowie fan. But it was like, that sucks, you know?
Yeah.
So realistically, I think most things kind of were muted for me as far as that goes. There was a lot of family shit that went down in 2016. That being said, it was also, my daughter turned 1 in 2016. You know, we got pregnant with our second daughter at the end of 2016. So in a lot of ways, 2016 had some positives. And that's kind of my thing about 2017 is I had my second daughter. So like 2017 in itself, while everybody else was focused on all the shitty shit that was happening and and you could point at me and say white male privilege if you really want to. But the bottom line is I decided not to focus on all the negative and focus on the positive in my own household. I figured the best way that I could overcome whatever shitty things happen in politics or in the world would be to make sure that I set a good example in my own house. Yeah. And that's pretty much the attitude I take towards most things. It's like, I can't control any of this. I live in a very blue state. So if I was, let's say I was like the biggest flag waving Republican, which obviously I'm not, but if I was, I wouldn't be able to do anything here anyway.
Right.
And if I was the most liberal person here and I had, you know, a Hillary bumper sticker. Sorry, I threw up a little in my mouth. Mm-hmm. If I had that here, I would be just floating along with everybody else. Though I will say we do live in an area that was pretty pro-Bernie. And as we've talked about, even though I don't consider myself a Democrat or Republican, Bernie was the first time that I had seen anybody that was strictly one side or the other that I would have voted for. Like, I actually think that I would have voted for Bernie. But we talked about in the past that I was a little worried that because he was so anti-big business that he was going to run into some shenanigans there. That's a whole other topic.
Well, yeah, that whole other topic can basically be summed up as most of the things he was promising people he wouldn't have been able to get done.
Because he would have got fucked over, as he did. He got fucked over. The DNC fucked him over.
No.
But the bottom line is I knew that I wasn't going to win one way or the other, right? Either I'm going to get fucked by Republicans or I'm going to get fucked by Democrats because the guy that I would have wanted to win from the Democrats got fucked by the Democrats. So there was no chance. So the way I looked at it was, hey, I can either get really mad about all these things like everybody else and march down the street yelling, boo-hoo, not my president. Which, if you want to do, go for it. But at the end of the day, I still have to come home and feed my kids. So I was like, I want to put my head down. I'm going to get my work done. I'm going to make the best of whatever situations arise. And hopefully by the end of the year, I have a good situation for my family.
Yeah. So like in the end of the year, you reflect on the year as like how you viewed the year for the world, like your outer view, and then how you viewed it for yourself, your personal experiences and stuff. And we got the outer view. I feel like we talked about politics enough. Let's move on to like personal like stuff that we liked about the year. Like, you know, we had favorite movies, we had a bunch of favorite albums come out this year, and yeah, let's move on to that.
Really quick, since you did say the outwards thing, it is important to acknowledge that I am very aware of a lot of the fucking shitty shit that's happening around the world, and I do feel for it.
Sure.
So my point was, as you said, like, you're tired of hearing all the negative. My interpretation of that is to focus on what I can change, and that is to lead a good example.
There's the saying, eliminate the negative, accentuate. That's some
good positivity.
Accentuate the positive.
It's a song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a song from like the 40s or something. I don't know. But I feel like I like accentuating the positive, but I feel like eliminating the negative can have negative consequences.
Yeah, because you're still eliminating. You're still doing a negative by itself. And
you acknowledge the negative and learn from it, and then turn it positive.
For purposes of this podcast, we like to make fun of the negative or bitch about it, and then like get it out, and then you feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of things to bitch about,
sure.
Do you what do you want to start with? TV? You want to start with movies? Where do you want to start?
Oh God, I don't know. Let's start with music.
Okay.
We had I feel like in the spring there was a bunch. You know what's funny is that I remember there being a lot of albums I loved that came out, but I can't remember all of them right now.
Well, it's funny you say that because you basically said, "Hey, do you want to do a top 5 or a top 3?" And I was like, "I can do a top 3."
Yeah.
But all three, mine wouldn't be a top 3. They all are. It's like 1A, 1B, and 1C, and all 3 of them came out in spring.
Okay.
So I don't know if these are the ones you were thinking of.
Albums?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So first one for me would have been the Crack Up album by Fleet Foxes.
Oh, yeah.
So Crack Up came out. It's their first album in 6 years. And
that's your favorite band, right?
So that's the thing is the 3 that I have here are 3 of my favorite bands of all time. And all 3 of them released a very good album. So I'll quickly just tell you what they are. And then we can kind of
I already know what they are.
So Fleet Foxes Crack Up. Mew came out with Visuals.
Uh-huh.
Now they hadn't had such a long gap in between but the last album that came out with My First Daughter Was Born, and then they released their second album and My Second Daughter Was Born.
You're gonna have to do like a quick sentence explanation of who they are because most people probably haven't heard of them.
And then really quickly, the last one was the Shins. They had their first band album in 5 years. Heartworms came out, so I liked all 3 of those albums a shit ton. It was like my wife and I's as a couple. Those are 3 bands that we listened to a lot together. So it was like we had 3 bands come out with music. Mew is a Danish band. Used to be considered like shoegaze music, if you know what that means. It's like really like spacey electronic pop.
Oh yeah.
But they called it shoegaze because back in the day when you'd have these lead singers and they'd come out on stage and they'd sing and they just stare at their shoes the whole time. So that's where it came out as. And now personally, I think his stage presence has come a long way. But those would be the 3 that I went and I've listened to those 3 albums on basically a loop this entire year. When the Spotify thing comes out, it's like
they all came out. They all came out within 3
months of each other.
3 months of each other. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
So mine are different. I mean, those are great albums, and I love all 3 of those bands. But did you rank them?
Like I say, 1A, B, and C. You
couldn't rank them.
I would say Crack Up is probably, if you listen to it from start to finish, that album is just beautiful, but there actually are a few songs in there that I'm not a huge fan of.
Well, yeah, it's always like, what's your favorite album? And then what do you think was the best album? So there's like that. But
Heartworms and Visuals, like Heartworms, the one by Shins, when I first heard it, I was like, well, it's pretty good. And then as I listened to it more and more, and I got to go to that Shins, like the James Mercer, acoustic show. So that one kind of has a special place, and little by little, as I listen to songs more and more, I was like, holy shit, this is actually a fucking brilliant album.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have that flow the way that Crack Up does.
Yeah, that's true.
But Visuals, the Mew album, I can't really think of a song on there that I didn't like.
I don't think there's... How many Mew albums are there that you don't...
I think out of their 7 records or albums that they have, I think there's maybe 3 songs that I would skip out of all that.
Right. So... I am going to do 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
I'm going to count them down. Okay, coming in at number 3. 9 Inch Nails has great news. Was it maybe December of 2016? But Trent Reznor added Atticus Ross, his longtime collaborator, who he scored movies and won an Oscar with before. Was that for Social Network?
Social Network won one. Were they nominated for Gone Girl?
Probably.
I think they were nominated for it as well.
Yeah. Atticus Ross is actually part of the band now. He's officially a member, so that's awesome. And they're in the middle of 3 EP releases. The first one was in 2016, and the second one was this year, and then the third one will be next year. The second one is the third on my list, Add Violence. It's great. It's
okay.
If you like Nine Inch Nails, I'm going to say this, if you like Nine Inch Nails, you'll love it. If you don't like Nine Inch Nails, do not listen to it first. Listen to something else. Coming in at number 2, War on Drugs, A Deeper Understanding is just like solid. I fell in love with the album before that, which I can't remember the name of right now. But in 2016, I fell in love with that and them. And it's just one guy like Nine Inch Nails. His name is Adam Granduciel, I think. It's a weird name. But he just has an amazing way of putting an album together, and he engineers all of it himself, which makes me really happy. Yeah. And yeah, it's
well, I want to come back to that
album.
one once you give us your number 1.
And the number 1 is Manchester Orchestra, which is a Black Mile to the Surface, I believe. Yeah. Which is another, like, I think the best engineered album I've heard this year. Yeah. Just all around so well put together. And there are a few songs on that just like it's just really good.
So that's actually the one that I want to talk about. I don't know why I got caught up in the War Drugs. Manchester Orchestra that album is a really good album. It actually kind of reminds me of how I feel about the new Bon Iver album. That came out this year, right? That wasn't 2016, was it?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I think it might have been 2016.
Either way, they hit weird emotional hits, like weird emotional notes.
Yeah.
For some reason, I have to be mentally and like emotionally prepared to listen to them if I want to listen to them.
Yeah.
So like that's the 3 that I listed on mine. Crack Up does have some emotion to it, but it's not like I don't feel like I want to cry. The other 2, like there are some more uplifting songs, more fun sing-along stuff. But the Manchester Orchestra and the Bon Iver album are both very good, very well-made albums, and both times I feel like I went through. Like, I feel like I watched a movie, like an emotional
experience.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Absolutely.
I will touch on, I don't want to have a worst of the year because there's so much shit music, and we've talked about shit music ad nauseum on this podcast. Yeah. I'm sure Katy Perry fits somewhere in there with the Swish Swish Bish or whatever that fucking trash song is with the kid with the backpack dancing.
Taylor Swift came out with an album.
Yeah, you read my mind. And actually the biggest disappointment I had was, and I may not talk about this a lot, but I was a huge Eminem fan growing up. Like I really loved his music. And I listened to the new one that he just released not too long ago, and I can't get into it for anything.
You listened to the whole album?
I listened to, I think, 7 songs in a row.
Okay.
And I think I liked 1. And it bummed me out. And the thing is, I don't look at it and go, it's not good music, because I don't really know rap that well anymore. So maybe it is good to some people. But the thing that sucks is it's weird to like get to an age where you realize you've just grown out of a taste in something. Because I can still go back and listen to Eminem, and his older stuff I still really like. But I also I wonder to myself, I'm like, it's obviously really well done. The lyrics are really well put together. Like the stuff he says is fucking wild. And it's like, but how much of this am I enjoying because of nostalgia, and how much of this am I enjoying because I actually like what it is right now?
Yeah.
Because when I listen to rap now, there's very few things I listen to and don't want to beat my head against my dashboard.
That's the thing about rap and hip hop, is that it's always like on the edge of like pushing boundaries and like moving forward. So it's going to be different like within a few years time.
Yeah. There was a couple songs.
It's hard to
on his new album that actually sounded like the older Eminem, like his cadence. His cadence has been really weird lately. He's been doing these really weird.
I've noticed that.
It's really technical and all that, but that's not what I enjoy. Like I want something that's fun to listen to.
Right.
And most rap nowadays, like I feel like unless it's like underground hip hop is kind of regurgitating beats and the same topics.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on that note, that was only one that I was a little bummed out. I know you really liked it, but Father John Misty's album, his new one.
I was gonna say, if we were talking about disappointments, which is like, I couldn't necessarily say worst because we were talking about this. We couldn't say worst because we just don't listen to music or watch movies that we don't think we're not gonna like. So like there's no we don't find the worst. There's somewhere that we haven't listened to. But in terms of disappointments, where something I was looking forward to and I wasn't like thrilled about it was Father John Misty's album, which was just like so different and out there.
Yeah.
And he's very much like avant-garde, like just doing
He does
art
what the fuck
for
he
the
wants.
sake of art.
Yeah.
Which is just sometimes off-putting.
Well, that being
Sometimes
said, his
sometimes
first-
you could get in the mood for it. Sometimes it's just kind of like,
And that being said, his first album I love from start to finish, like every song.
and I
on
love
the
his
first
second.
album. Yeah.
But the third was just kind of.
Now, if you're wondering, if you're listening right now and going, "What the fuck's going on? These guys have never reviewed music anymore." Well, guess what? We're doing it. So
We just wanted to count our favorite shit down from the year.
and to be honest, we actually have more grounds for like judging music. Really,
sure.
with your musical background and me having been in a mediocre band,
Yeah.
than we do movies, and we review those all the time.
That's true. Speaking of which, let's keep the ball rolling and count our favorite movies of 2017 down.
I think I will go 3, 2, 1 on this one.
Okay.
We can do number 3, and then you can do number 3. We can discuss. Sounds
Okay.
good. So number 3 for me was Baby Driver.
I had 5.
Okay, well I had 3.
Well, my 5th was Baby Driver.
So number 3 for me is Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Fucking I like how I literally was so excited to talk about this one that I started with fucking Baby Driver was awesome.
Fucking Baby
the
Driver.
music, the fucking action, the driving, the acting, the directing. I know people are mad at Kevin Spacey right now, but he's fucking badass in the movie. He didn't feel up anybody during this shoot, from what I understand.
Let's count down the worst things we've said this year too, while we're at it.
Well, shit.
No, we could never.
39 episodes to go through. I really, there was nothing about that movie I didn't like. I had so much fun watching the movie, and the second time I watched it, and I think I've seen it 3 times now. Each time I watch it, I catch something I didn't catch the time before.
Oh, for sure.
Like in that beginning scene where he's walking and the music's lining up, and there's the words from the song that's playing as he's walking that you're finding in graffiti or on signs or just fucking wild shit like that. I just thought it was really well made, and I thought it was. This is going to sound cheesy as fuck, but it was a breath of fresh air. It was something different. It was an original idea. It wasn't a sequel. It wasn't a comedy, or it wasn't a copycat. It wasn't a prequel. It wasn't a remake. It was, hey, we're going to make this movie and it's going to be different. Now, I heard there's going to be a sequel, which I'm excited about.
I'm actually not excited about it. I don't want there to be one.
If Edgar Wright does it and the main kid does it, I'll be interested.
Edgar
I'll
Wright is good at spiritual sequels, but I don't
good
know.
point.
I don't know about a real one. All right, what's next?
Is that going to be your number 3 then?
That's my number 5. I
So
have,
then why
I
don't
have
you do
5.
why don't you do your 5 and 4 then?
Okay, so that's my 5th, and I agree with everything you said. Edgar Wright, I can't do wrong by him. The only complaint I would have would be, I think the third act, it lacks a big enough climax. That's all.
A large
I think there
climax
could have
is
been
important.
there were two like I wanted another chase when it was really just like a parking garage fight.
Yeah, well,
But
I can see
that's
that.
all. That's all. It's the only complaint I have about it. Number 4 for me is Blade Runner 2049, which you haven't seen.
I haven't seen
right? I remember I watched Blade Runner a few years ago, and I don't remember I remember understanding why it's revered for its what it was at the time, but I don't think it really held up as
You
much
watched
as people
the regular
think it
version,
does.
right? The one
Yeah,
that's
I
got
haven't seen the
weird
final
narration.
cut.
So I have Final Cut on Blu-ray.
Yeah, we
do
should
gotta
that.
watch that, and then I'll watch 2049, and we can touch on that in the future.
But what I was gonna say is that the new one is it does an incredible job of keeping that the tone of the dystopian just really dark grim world of the first one, but it just adds so much more emotional weight and character exploration than the first one, and the visuals and sound are just absolutely stunning.
Isn't Ana de Armas like a 40-foot robot?
Yeah, she's a holographic
I
naked chick at a time.
I like her. She seems nice.
She's fun to look at. To put it bluntly. And then I'll go into my number 3, which I think might be on maybe Logan.
It's not on my top 3.
Okay, so Logan is my number 3.
But it actually was.
We've talked
when I
about
was
it
thinking
before.
about 5, it wasn't my top 5.
Yeah.
So if we had done 5, I definitely would have put Logan. It's actually the 4K movie that I got for Christmas, just before Christmas, that I'm amped to pop into the old Blu-ray player.
It goes without saying that having a movie like a superhero movie like that is just wonderful, because it's not I don't even think of it as part of the X-Men movie universe, because it's every other X-Men movie is so fucking different than it.
So we did a full Logan review
we did.
way back, so we don't have to get into too much of the review aspect of it, but the way that I still think about Logan did for me what Deadpool did for me for Marvel movies. So where Deadpool was able to go and be funny and be raunchy and be rated R and be, hey, see, not all comic movies have to be made for everybody. Like there's an audience that will appreciate this, even though you can't take your 10-year-old to go see it.
Yeah.
Logan did the same thing. He was a broken character. He had all these flaws, all these things. Like there was a gristle to him, and they took it. They made a rated R movie. They made it fucking awesome. And the analogy or simile that I can make too is Dark Knight. Like when you watch Dark Knight, it doesn't have to be a Batman movie. You know, if the Joker was just a crazy person and he was just a detective, it would have been a great movie.
Yeah, just been like a crime drama.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if Logan hadn't been an X-Man,
right?
X-Man, he's still an X-person.
Use the right pronoun. Use the right pronoun.
I don't want to do fucking microaggressions on someone. It still would have been a great movie. My number 2 for the year, my guess is probably on your list. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
That was like my number 6.
Yeah, I still can feel that movie still. Like when I see trailers for it or when I see clips from it, like I still feel like what I felt during watching it.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray. I can't wait to watch it again. Just everything this guy writes, Martin McDonagh. I mean, his movies that he's directed, In Bruges, Seven Psychopaths, and now this one. In Bruges hit me in like a bunch of different areas. It makes you laugh. It makes you think. It makes you like emotional. And this movie did the same thing.
Yeah.
As a parent, I saw it from some angles. I'm watching, and the characters they're fully 3-dimensional characters. Not everybody's a good or bad person. They have layers. There's just so much texture, the way he shoots it, with the score. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the movie. And I really, as much as we don't give a shit about awards, I hope it wins some awards because that guy that people don't know who he is, and they need to know who that fucking director is.
Oh, it has a chance to sweep the Golden Globes. So, yeah, definitely. My number 2 is Get Out.
Okay.
It was my second, which gives you a clue as to my first movie.
Yeah.
It was my second favorite horror movie of the year. And it's just like it's not even just like what's great about it is it's so many things. It's not just a horror. It's like it's psychological.
It's also
thriller.
A comedy, according to the Golden Globes.
It's a psychological thriller. It's an absolute like rolling on the floor laughter comedy. Just like so fucking funny. I just love racism when it's really funny like that. It's just,
hey,
I love
in all
like
fairness,
underground secret like slave trading. It's always hilarious to me.
Yeah,
I love seeing it on screen. I just laugh my ass off. I did
catch you watching that one documentary on Netflix about slavery, and you were laughing. No, so the one thing I will say is going back and watching it again because what I've noticed is, and again, that one would have been in my top 5 as well. So even though we should have just done a top 5 then. Yeah. Get Out was one of those movies that like I saw it and the hype for it was so big that when I walked out of the theater the first time, I was hoping that I had been more scared. Like that was the one thing that I left going, man, I wish I'd been more scared. But as I thought about the movie more, I realized that it wasn't scary in like a boo kind of way. It was more like, holy shit, that's it's heavy.
Yes.
And the more I thought about it, and then I remember when I saw it popping up on HBO and things, and I've probably watched clips from it, like pieces of the movie again 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Because there's different scenes, and I realized depending on which scene I watch, I get a different feeling.
Yeah.
So I've caught the scene where his buddy goes in and tries to talk to the cop lady about how his friend got picked up and they're sex slaves, and then she calls the other 2 cops in, and that scene actually is fucking funny.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And then there's the scene where he's talking to Rose after, like, when Rose calls him to try to find him.
Yeah.
And then she's like, he figures out that she's flipping it on him.
Right.
He knows that she knows she's recording the call because she's like, oh, I know you always wanted to fuck me. And he's like, what the fuck? You brilliant bitch. Like, there's parts of it that are, when in and of themselves, are funny. And there's a difference between funny, like, oh, haha, they're breaking the tension, and there's like funny, haha, breaking the tension but not taking you out of the movie. It actually serves purpose to the story. There's sometimes where there's that break where you're like, oh, I needed to laugh right then. You'll usually catch some movies like Insidious or things like that where something really silly will happen all of a sudden. You're like, okay, that doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but oh my God, I get a chance to catch my breath.
Yeah, because your nerves are going.
And in that with her, it was more like it was funny in that point, but it was also furthering how smart she was and that he was figuring out, holy shit, she's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, but like you were talking about how it was scary like in a different way.
Yeah.
And I think like that was like how it was scary the point of view that you like walk out of the movie with. Like it shifts like some of your points of view about things to one that you might not have experienced before, and that it's scary because like you start to kind of get like what a black person in that scenario would be thinking, and you start going, oh shit, that doesn't feel good. Like it doesn't feel good that he's like walking around and people are looking at him like that and saying these things to him, and it's like, oh shit, that's scary.
Well,
like,
the other part of what I was saying is that I also turned it on at a different point where he finds that box under her thing that's got all the pictures of the ex-boyfriends and one girlfriend that she had. Yeah. And he's, or we should go, we got the keys, and they're walking down the stairs. And that tension, like, come on, Rose, where are the keys, Rose? Well, fuck the keys. And that scene right there, like, if you just walk into that scene, it's like, holy shit, this is super fucking intense.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that's why I think the movie was such an important movie, like, filmmaking wise, because I think hopefully people can take this and go, hey, like you can do all of these things at the same time if you do them right.
Yeah.
But it was it was one of the reasons I liked the movie so much, is because I could turn it on at any point and still get a different experience, and it doesn't feel like I'm taking away from the rest of it.
True.
That's how I felt about Get Out.
And I think our number one is the same.
It. So I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Because I have a lot more I can say about it.
Well, so I had, like, when I saw it for the first time, I had read about 2/3 of the book. So I was in the middle of reading the book while I saw the movie.
Yep.
And most of what happens in the movie I had already read. So yeah. I was just like, for a whole month I was experiencing that story, because I was just, you get so engrossed in that book. It's so long, it's so dense. There's so many like characters and so much happening. And my biggest like plus about the movie is that it somehow took all of what was happening in the book and made it adapted it well to the screen. Like, I don't know how they did that in under 2.5 hours with like still, and there were a good amount of changes and stuff.
Yeah, you have to.
But the feeling that the horror, the like the tone of it really got across.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you really could feel, although like for the purposes of the movie, it is more Pennywise than anything else, which is not necessarily true in the book, but they definitely made Pennywise like feel like Pennywise. Like,
so it's funny that you mentioned that, because so first and foremost, the reason it was such a big deal to me was there was such a huge buildup for me. I mean, 27 years. You know, it had been a really, really long time since the original came out. I had been following it since like pre-production, who the director is going to be, which guy was going to play Pennywise. They casted a few different people. You know, the directors changed, the script changed. Cary Fukunaga was attached to it at one point. There were so many things going on, and usually when a movie goes through that many changes, it shits the bed.
Yeah.
And I was so afraid that I was going to go see it and it was not going to live up, and then I was just going to always have the 90s TV miniseries, and I'm like, fuck, man, I really wish they had done this right. Now, I like the 90s TV series. Don't get me wrong, the little miniseries, but what I actually took from it was that it wasn't just Pennywise. I feel like they did such a good job of, like, the Losers Club became such a vital part, where it wasn't just this group of kids, or it wasn't just an individual kid. The kids, realistically, like, they had so much to chew on there, you know. And I do feel like they had to hurry a bit between their storylines. They couldn't spend as much time as they would like to, which makes sense, because I mean, you're talking about a 1,200 page book. But when I walked out, I liked the kids' characters. And I think I liked the kids' characters more in this movie than I did the original movie. Yeah. When you went into it, a lot of people are having that argument of, you're never going to beat Tim Curry. Tim Curry was perfect. And my attitude is always like, well, that's what you said about Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And then Heath Ledger came along.
Exactly.
I think Alexander Skarsgård did a fucking phenomenal job. Yeah. When I picture Pennywise in my head right now, he's who I picture.
Yeah.
That's what I see. I see that creepy fuck standing outside the house with the fucking balloons, and he's talking to Eddie. Like, that part to me still stands out to me. Like, when I walk out to my car and there's that shed, it's dark outside, I go, oh fuck. That's what gets me. I am so excited for the next part of it. I couldn't believe that I went in, I got scared, I laughed, and just like Get Out, I laughed without it feeling fake. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to give you a break. The kids were genuinely interesting. The kid from Stranger Things did a fucking phenomenal job. Eddie, the kid who played Eddie, I didn't like Eddie in the original miniseries. I didn't like him at all.
Yeah.
So for me to find new characters to like, Beverly fucking crushed it. Like, I'm actually genuinely interested to see who they cast as the adults, because I think it's vital because of how important those kids' characters were.
Right.
And in a time right now where we got Stranger Things, which is such an important phenomenon, to show how great a kid's cast can actually be, you were able to make this great kids cast. You cast the perfect fucking Pennywise. You didn't cheapen it at all. He was scary. He was wild. He was animated. Some of his fucking like movements were so unnatural, and it was fucking awesome. Like I can't say enough positive things about it.
Yeah. It really felt like I haven't even seen that much of the TV movie. I definitely haven't seen it all the way through. But it felt like the better adaptation.
Yeah, and we'll watch it now. I know you refuse to watch it until you saw the new ones.
Not just that, but I feel like it's one of the best adaptations that I've seen. Like, just like staying true to the source material.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why it was my number one, because I just think overall it was just such a well put together movie. Speaking of disappointments, though, that we'll go straight into that. We saw Alien Covenant in the theater.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I expected after Prometheus, but I guess I was hopeful that Ridley Scott could pull it back together. But it just wasn't. It just, put simply, fell flat for me.
Well, that's the thing is I thought about how I felt immediately walking out of the theater, and I was like, oh, that was okay. And I was talking about it last week with Jeff when he was here. We saw I think it was the Blu-rays out or something.
Yeah.
And we saw it, and he's like, what did you think about that? And I was like, honestly, it was fine. It's just forgettable.
Very.
And I realized I'm lucky there's no worst of the year movie here for me, which is nice, because I don't have something here I'm like, wow, what a pile of shit that I just sat through. Because that would suck if I had that, but we're pretty picky about what we go see, especially what we go see in the theaters. But yeah, there was nothing about that movie that when I walked away was like, hey, I can't wait to get home and watch that again to see if I missed anything.
You know what's annoying? What's annoying about it is that it was like, it's not bad enough to like say it was bad.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not good enough to say it was good. So it's like, I'd rather a movie be bad and I could just go like, okay, that was bad. I'm just going to forget about it.
Agreed.
But in this case, I have to go, well, there were good parts of it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like completely write it off, but it certainly wasn't a great movie. So it's like,
agreed.
I hate when that happens. Like I either want to hate it or love it, but I just was kind of disappointed. So
last
that
but
was
not least, let's go to TV.
Okay, TV. Game of Thrones was the biggest thing that happened this year, basically.
Yeah.
But speaking of disappointments, there were a lot of parts like with the writing that was just like there were moments that had never happened to me before with Game of Thrones where it's just like, ooh, I'm really not sure about where they're going with this.
Yeah, like, some of the decision making made little sense based off the characters that we've grown to know and expect certain decision making from.
And there's a lot of reasons. There's that they have to DB Weiss and what's his name? The writers have to take over for George because he's not writing books anymore, or currently. And they had a lot to pack in.
Yeah.
Clearly they had to, like, their point A to point B was more rushed than ever, like from the characters were in the beginning of the season to where the characters ended up at the end was just like, they didn't physically travel a lot, but there was so much to tell.
Yeah.
And there's not even that many characters left, which is now that I think about it, really crazy, because in past seasons they've dealt with more characters and more like traveling like things and like more things happening better than they did this season, where there's less to tell, but it felt more rushed somehow.
And it's not even really necessarily how many fewer characters there are, because if you think about it, we still have quite a few. It's that so many of them are in the same place. Yeah. So many of them are grouped up that you don't have this need to try. Like, normally you'd be like, okay, what happened with Arya? What happened with Sansa? What happened with Dany? What happened with... But now you're like, well, they're together, and they're together, and they're together.
Yeah.
So it should be really easy to delve into and dig into what they're doing at a deeper detail.
But it seems like they've
quickly touch. Yeah.
They've had a harder time with it.
Now, don't get me wrong. I still really like the season. Like, I'm still looking forward to see what happens. But that's the funny part is it was a show that we love. And yet that was probably, I mean, really, if we're going to talk biggest disappointment, it'd probably be Walking Dead. But we've talked about that previously here because neither of us was watching the new season.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say the whole show is
No, of course not.
It's just I like walked into it going really excited, and now I'm like walking out of it and waiting for season 8, like kind of ambivalent.
I'm actually the one thing I am going to say is I'm trying really hard to not think about season 8 because 2019. That's fucking forever away.
Yeah.
That being said, knowing that each one's going to be like an hour and 20 minutes long, knowing that it's going to be like 6 or 7 episodes, like they're budgeting the shit out of it to be short and big.
I mean, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
It's just like my investment in the characters and stuff is a little bit lower than it has been before.
Sure.
That's all. Speaking of investment and characters,
okay,
I'm so done with Walking Dead. As we've talked about, it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
That was like a low point of the year for sure. It was just like it's
Well,
gone from like one of my favorite shows maybe to one of my least favorite shows.
It's at a point now where when I see like somebody post about it on Facebook or something, I roll my eyes because I'm like, well, fuck, man, like. Don't be surprised that this stupid thing happened. Like, I that's the part that bums me out is I always like to have more shows to watch than I can watch because it's like, oh, well, if I ever was like a Saturday or I'm sick, I can like, oh, I can watch this show and catch up. But each time that I've seen a clip from that show, I'm like, no. So that to me would be probably the biggest disappointment is just how it completely went from a show that I liked a lot and then kind of got slow and then I liked a lot again and then I kind of tolerated because I want to see what happened next and now I'm like, I can't even click on it. I did want to mention a couple of like disappointments, different kind of disappointments. So one of the shows I've actually really gotten into is The Ranch. When I first saw the trailers for it on Netflix, I didn't think I was gonna be interested at all. And the first couple episodes really aren't even that great. But if you were a fan of that 70s show, if you grew up watching that like I did, it's got Ashton Kutcher, Kelso, and it's got Danny Masterson who played Hyde. And so a new show with them. They're basically brothers that live on a ranch in Colorado. They're helping their dad, who's Sam Elliott, which if you're like a old-timey Western guy like myself, like if you like that old grizzled, you know, cowboy, like the old man's man. Yeah.
He's the best.
real man's mustache. If you like that kind of thing, it's great. Especially in this time right now, we have so many shows that are like all preaching the same thing. It's nice to have one where you're like the characters talk shit to each other. Like there's so many shows that are like, don't bully and don't be mean and don't tease each other. They just talk tons of shit on the show. So I enjoy that.
I think I know where your disappointment is going.
My disappointment is that we're at a time now where people can't make good decisions. And Danny Masterson there are allegations against him. I'm not going to say they're true or they're not. What's disappointing isn't that he's being removed from the show. It's disappointing that he got himself into that situation to begin with. Yeah. The rumors are that he sexually assaulted / raped girls that he was dating, several of them. Some rumors say that the Church of Scientology like covered it up, which if that's true, that's fucked up.
He's a Scientologist?
Apparently.
Oh, okay.
But apparently down the road, eventually got to a point where Netflix couldn't ignore the rumors anymore and they had to let him go.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on part 5 that comes out early next year, but then after that he's gone. The thing that sucks about that is like I actually have a show that I enjoy. My wife likes watching it with me. It's not the greatest show in the world, but it's enjoyable. When I watch it, I'm like, the writing has gotten progressively better. The characters' chemistry has gotten better. And to have a show get get ruined because somebody can't keep their fucking hands to themselves, like that really fucking disappoints me.
Well, along those very similar lines, did you hear what happened with the guy who plays Jonathan on Stranger Things?
No.
He was in the UK, I think, and he was coming back to the US on a flight and got caught with, I think, cocaine. And at the moment, he's not able to get back into the US.
Oh, great.
So his involvement...
Which one's Jonathan?
The creepy guy with the camera.
Oh. The creepy guy.
Well, yeah, that sums up his character.
Will's brother.
Yeah, Will's brother. That works too.
He's a little odd looking.
No, so his involvement in season 3 is up in the air.
Oh, and then to kind of tack onto that, Louis C.K., like everything that happened with him, the decisions making he made instead of him having a new special coming out, which I understand it's more important to stop these things from happening than it is for me to get a new special to watch, but it's still disappointing. Like I was interested in seeing his movie that he was releasing. Now,
you can be disappointed that you're not going to be able to see more from them, and also disappointed in the person that they chose to be. Those are the same thing because they chose to be that person. We don't get to enjoy their talent anymore.
Yeah, a couple of high spots though. If you haven't checked out Big Mouth yet, check out Big Mouth. It's on Netflix.
That's a great show.
Nick Kroll, John Mulaney are part of it. Maya Rudolph is involved with it. It's a great fucking show. It's about these. It's a cartoon based show. Oh, Jason Mantzoukas is in it as well. So if you needed a reason to watch a show, Jason Mantzoukas is part of it.
Yep.
It's about their characters when they were teenagers experiencing puberty, the crazy shit that goes on in your head. It's pretty graphic. No, it's very graphic. It's definitely not for the squeamish.
There are dancing penises.
Yes,
literally.
But it is extremely funny. It's way past the line, but in a way that like you may have experienced things when you were a teenager that you never talked about to anybody else, and you may watch this and go, "Holy shit!" Like that's holy shit.
Yeah.
The other major positive was F is for Family season 2 came out and fucking totally rocked my world. It's a fucking great show.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm not normally a cartoon guy, but both those shows I fucking love, and I've watched every episode more than once.
Yeah, for sure.
Those would be my pluses. Hey, just a quick break in the action to give you a word from our sponsor. We are dapperties.com. We are Dapperties, a company created by brothers Andrew and Julian, who believe that feeling and looking great should be an affordable right for all. So whether wearing a suit and tie daily or heading to an interview or heading to a fucking New Year's Eve smashing party, make sure you look fucking awesome. Put on a goddamn tie.
Yeah.
Put on a dapper goddamn tie.
Ties make a big difference. I feel like when I see someone wearing a tie versus if I have two people in front of me and one of them is wearing a tie with the same outfit as the other guy who's not wearing a tie, I would want to shake hands with the guy wearing the tie first.
Yeah, the guy.
And I would ask the guy with the tie for a pen before I would ever ask the guy without a tie for a pen. Because he's probably not going to have one because he doesn't have a fucking tie.
The guy without the tie, he probably has clammy hands.
Oh, he has clammy hands. He has his sweaty armpits. He has his gross, smelly feet.
See, if you don't wear a tie, you probably have smelly feet.
Seriously. I mean, wear a tie.
Get your goddamn shit together.
Seriously.
Wash
Andrew
your
and
feet.
Julian have carefully curated beautiful designs to offer you a selection of knitted, elegant, unique, and affordable ties. And we've seen those designs ourselves. They are definitely carefully curated.
They're awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear my tie tonight.
Oh yeah.
Last night. Whenever New Year's happened.
When the ball drops. Or be wearing your ties. Go to wearedapperties.com and enter the promo code ANGRY to get free shipping on all your orders all over the U.S. Again, go to wearedapperties.com and enter the promo code ANGRY. We are Dapper Ties. Smart, affordable fashion.
So I resolutions are pretty stupid. Let's just come out and say it.
New Year's resolutions, yeah.
Well, yeah. Thanks for clarifying on our New Year's episode.
Well, a resolution can be anything, but
I know.
A New Year's resolution is...
So New Year's resolutions are especially stupid.
Yes.
The way I tend to look at it is if you want to change something about yourself, if you want to improve on something, go do it. You
don't need
January 1st. Now, with that being said, I'm going to be a gigantic hypocrite, and I'm going to say what my New Year's resolution is.
Okay.
I have been wanting to get myself back into See, apparently, from some people say dad bod is in. Now, I'm not comfortable with dad bod. I don't want to be loose. I don't want to be, like a middle-aged man shape. That's not what I want to be. I know I'm never gonna
You don't want to be like Patton Oswalt.
Oh God, no! Especially not like Patton Oswalt. I don't want to look like him.
I think he's in better shape than he has been before.
Still not where I want to be. And so while I am not a fan of making declarations or anything like that, I figured if I make a resolution to lose some weight this year.
It's also like the most cliche resolution.
I don't give a flying fuck.
I know.
It's not to lose some weight. Like my goal is very, very specific. I really want to get rid of dad bod.
Okay.
I'm turning 35 in October, and my goal is to lose 35 pounds by October. That's my goal.
Okay.
I'm not going to give anybody numbers because the numbers are scary and terrifying. But what I will say is you can hold me to it. I'm hoping people hold me to it.
All right.
I listen to Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast every week. And he's acting, so he's still got to stay in good shape. But he talks about it too, how hard it is for him to stay, between drinking and all these things. And I wanted to start a couple weeks ago. I knew Jeff was coming up for Christmas, so I said, no, fuck it, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna say beginning of the year, I'm gonna lose my X pounds. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna fucking do it. So if I say it on the podcast and I don't hold myself to it, you can rail, make fun of me all you want, and give me shit. And if I do, you can look across at me and be like, no, Eric does look a little thinner, less fat. Sure. I just want to be less fat.
Sure.
I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Let's just go there. I don't want to have a hard time breathing. You know what I mean?
Wow. So we went from better shape to I just don't want to have a hard time breathing.
Well, the way I look at it is if I keep going down this road, right? I'm not in terrible shape. I'm not in good shape either. If I keep going down this road, I'm not going to go play with my kids. Like it sounds it's sappy, but it's fucking true. And people who listen to the podcast know my kids are it for me. They're the most important thing in my life. And I tell myself, hey, you need to get in shape, but there's no real repercussions. Really, there's no like, if I stop working out, what's the repercussion?
That's usually my problem with doing things is that there's usually no consequences to not doing them.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here right now. I'm going to tell you that basically my wife and I discussed tomorrow is going to be our last hurrah. And we're going to start meal planning. We're going to start exercising. This sounds cheesy as fuck, but my goal will be to, by the time my birthday rolls around, to be able to post a before and after picture. Not with my shirt off because I'm not that guy. But that way people can go, hey, you know what? Eric's not full of shit. And if I am full of shit, then people can go and say whatever the fuck they want. They can blast me. They can email us. They can make fun of me all they want.
Okay.
That'll be fun. At the very least, I can get Jeff here. You guys can both make fun of me.
Sure. That sounds good.
You're like, oh, that sounds good now.
If I were to come up with a resolution, I would say to keep practicing piano.
Yeah.
To get better and be able to play Chopin and not suck at it.
Honestly, dude, what your resolution should be is to play in front of people once this year.
Yeah. You're right. It should be that. I want to go to like a coffee shop or like something and play at an open mic or something like that.
See, that's a resolution.
That's a resolution.
And what we could do is
we can resolve that.
Your timeline, keep it with mine. By October, I got to be 35 pounds lighter, and you got to play a show, and we'll record and we'll post it on our Twitter.
I'll say by my birthday in August.
August, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a fucking resolution right there.
Sure, that sounds good.
And we'll sell Unreasonably Angry podcast merch at your show.
Yeah. So I feel like we're wrapping up the year. We're wrapping up the episode. I feel like Auld Lang Syne should start like playing, and like we'll like say, this year has been great. We started the podcast, and we're continuing it into a new year, our second year of our podcast.
Fuck yeah, that sounds cool.
And it's been a great experience.
Hopefully you've enjoyed the ride, and hopefully you keep going with us this next year.
Absolutely. So I'll just go right into it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to episode 40 of the Unreasonably Angry podcast, and thank you for listening in 2017. Thank you for becoming a hopefully long-time listener, or maybe like longer time into. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
I'm not putting words well together right now. All I just really want to say is thank you to our audience.
Yeah,
and I mean, we're very grateful for you and your support.
And a special thanks to anybody who follows us on Twitter, retweets our tweets, comments on our things, emails us ideas, emails us things they want us to talk about. Your being part of our show means so much to us.
Absolutely.
And we really feel like it's a mutual relationship, like we get from you, and we hope that we give to you back. Make sure to hit us up on Twitter, on Facebook, or send us an email. It's unreasonablyangrypodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, my name is Eric.
And I'm Gary.
Stay angry and Happy New Year's, fuckers.